like the root, right, of this problem is part of it is the bullies themselves.
Yes.
It is.
And maybe you talked about it before I came. What do you do for those guys? If you know anybody who's coached or who's worked with children and you get a bad kid, you only have to meet their parents. It's just you know.
Yep.
The overwhelming majority of cases. What's out there for these kids? They're the ones who are broken.
The thing about that is that you have to understand their plight. They might have parents that were bullies, and their parents' might have been bullies. It's a very long line of bully. You know, it's been going on for, when did we start painting on cave walls? It's not an easy solution, but if you as a parent or you as a friend can see that kid as being broken, as being molded by a bad situation, and maybe being able to interject the reverse. If that kid is lonely because his parents are always at work, he might be thrashing out because he's lonely, right? He's not getting the attention from his family. And you're his coach. It's like, hey, why don't you come over to our house for dinner? And maybe that will break it. Or maybe it'll give him some attention. And a lot of bullying is attention deficit disorder, or whatever you want to call it. They're not getting attention at home. They're not getting the help they need because the parents are too busy or something. Almost every bully I've ever known was a lonely person. I would say 90% of the time they're just plain lonely, and the other 10% are just plain jerks.
It's a mask for their own insecurity.
It's a mask for your insecurity. But bullying is basically a mask. I'm not good enough. My parents tell me I'm not good enough, so therefore I'm going to be good enough because I'm going to break everybody else down. I'm going to just be the best one left. And that's really how bullies think, right? So I was good at sports, or I was good at math, or I was good at, I took over the sports editorship of my high school paper, and I got bullied for that because I basically turned around the whole freaking paper and actually did reporting. My God, amazing. And all of a sudden I had a whole bunch of people saying, "Oh, you're ruining the paper." It's like, why? Because I'm reporting the news? I mean, it just comes down to they're trying to take away your joy because they're sad, and they want you to be sad with them most of the time.
I've been bullied, and I've been bullied in the past, and when I never actually said the line, "Don't tell anyone, they won't believe you." When I said that, looking back, I really meant, what I really meant was, I hate myself and what I do, and I need to talk to adults to work out these things. And so, like, if that really is happening, then I'm so glad that the person actually did talk to me, and that I was so pissed at them that they did. But looking back, it made me talking to adults. It made me work out these things that were in my heart and in my soul, and through that, I was able to work through and become a happier, healthier.
Good for you. Good on you. And yeah, that's the thing, people bully as a surrogate for productive human contact. If you don't have any friends, then maybe you'll be tempted to, like lobsters trying to claw out of a bucket, pull everyone else down just so you can be on top of them, even if it means nobody gets out of the pot. And sometimes, I guess one thing you can do is be that, to befriend them and show them what a true friend is. Explain to them, hey, listen, what you're doing here is wrong. Why don't we just hang out and do something different, and just try to show them what a decent human friendship can be like. There are always going to be a few people who are just irredeemably nasty who
You just can't reach.
Who you just can't reach. But the majority of people who bully aren't utter monsters. That's, I'm going to go to a dark place here, okay? I'm Jewish, and one of the greatest lessons of the Holocaust is that these, quote, monsters, Nazism was one of the most evil things ever wrought upon this planet, and yet the rank and file of the people who did that, who killed 6 million of my people and 6 million other people, were just ordinary people. They thought they were doing something right, They were convinced of it. Monsters, the real monsters are people. Underneath all of it, we're all human. We're all capable of monstrous things. We're all capable of being a bully or a murderer or a criminal. And underneath all of the terrible things that bullies do, they want help. They need help. And they might not even realize it.
They're almost crying for
But
help.
they're crying out for help. They're crying out for attention. And sometimes when people say, don't tell anyone, what they're really saying is, please tell someone so that maybe someone will talk some sense into me. Some part of you underneath all of it wants something better. Because I don't think anybody really wants to just be the person who bullies other people. It doesn't give them real fulfillment. One of the people who bullied me in my early adulthood, they actually made a hate page about me back in the early 2000s. And they came to me years later and they said, I was young, I was stupid, I didn't know what I was doing. And I think most of the people who do bully other people will later in their life wake up and realize, you know, that really didn't help me. And there's always going to be bullies. There's always going to be, even on the job, even though you're going to find people working at Wall Street who are absolute sociopaths and bully their employees to get ahead. In some industries, it's almost required. But by and large, eventually, people realize that what they did wasn't so good, and they learn to have regrets. And the earlier you can reach someone like that and try to show them that friendship is possible, that there's a better way than just trying to tear someone down. Sometimes all these people need is one friendly voice.
And guys your age, guys who are still in school, high school, grade school, right? You know how many of those people are still in my life? The people that you're with right now at school? Zilch. Zero. There's not one person from my high school or my grade school that I interact with on a daily basis. The only reason half of them I talk to is because of Facebook. That's it. Because they found me because of this, right? And every one of them, to a fault, even my bullies from high school are going, dude, you're awesome. What you're doing is great. And I haven't really called them on it. I'm hoping that they understand the irony of what they said to me about that, about what they did to me in high school or grade school. And hopefully that they're thinking about it, okay? But the people you're with right now, you're gonna make some friends, but to tell you the truth, maybe with the electronic generation, you'll stick with them a little bit longer than we did when we didn't have these things. But a lot of those people are not going to be in your life, especially the bullies. Especially the bullies. Those people will have absolutely no effect on your life when you get to be our age. And I'm 10 years older than her, she is. But none of those people are going to have an effect on anything you do. Oops. Sorry. I'm supposed to be somewhere else in a minute. But my last thing, and I'm sorry, Tank, but I do have to go.
You've been doing great, Dusty.
The last thing I will say to you guys, okay, is that, especially some of you older guys, right? All those people we went to in high school, how many people are you interacting with today? 1, 2, 0?
2, because
2.
I've known them my whole life. They've all best friends I've had.
There you go.
That's it.
You make
For me,
one or
it's
two,
1.5.
make 1 or 2 really good friends at your age that you'll have through school, and you might actually go to work with or something. But that's it, right?
I'm 6 now, and I've known them since I was 8 and 13.
Yeah,
So-
that's it. You're gonna have 1 or 2 really good friends from that age to adulthood, and even then, they might move away to the other end of the country, right? I grew up in Michigan. I now live here because that's where life took me. That's where my jobs took me. So you'll make friends and lose contact with people your entire life. I've made and lost a lot of friends, but mostly I lost my friends because we moved away from each other. I've got one of my best friends in the world lives 10 miles away from me. We haven't seen each other in 3 months because he has a different job than I do, and I work on the weekend and he doesn't, and we still talk, but I don't see him as much as I'd love to, and I need to change that. But just remember, right, it gets better, and it always will, and it's up to you to make it better. All right, I gotta go.
Very big thank you to Dustykatt. I got what, 15 minutes left? All right. So I got 15 more minutes left to talk. I'm going to follow up on some of the things Dusty said here. One of the pieces of advice that I give to young people who are being bullied is, and it ties into what Dusty just said, it feels like this is going to be your entire life forever, that these people who bully you are always going to be there, always going to be bullying you. But that's not how it is. As he said, the bullies, they are no longer a part of your life once you grow up. I don't know any of the people who used to bully me in middle school or in elementary school. I was fortunate enough not to be bullied in high school. Usually I found people say the reverse, but for me it was middle school was the worst. And I don't know any of my middle school bullies anymore. They're out of my life. They've been out of my life for 2 decades. A lot of their names have started to fade from my brain. I can't even remember them. They just seem like one composite bully. And that's how it is. The advice that I give to young people is think of it like a jail sentence. You are stuck in this jail with these bullies until you turn 18, and then you can do whatever you want. And if you're an adult and you're in a situation of bullying, it's kind of the same thing. You're only stuck there temporarily. As soon as you can find a way out of the situation, away from the people who are bullying you, then you can begin to heal. No interaction with another human being is permanent unless you want it to be so. And even so, nothing in life is permanent. No one lives forever. But if you are in a situation where you're daily interacting with someone who is bullying you or traumatizing you, get help. Get friends. Talk to a hotline. Talk to a family member or a trusted friend, advisor, coach, spiritual leader if you are so inclined, and try to stick it out as best you can, and remember it's not permanent. You do eventually get to leave behind your bullies and grow beyond it. And just think of it like you're temporarily stuck in that jail and you gotta stick it out, because after you get out, everything's great. I know young LGBT people all around the world who are being bullied by their parents, by their churches, by their schoolmates for being gay or trans, and they have no escape. They're stuck. But they're stuck until they turn 18. Then they can get out. Then they can go and build a life for themselves and be happy and be fulfilled and not have to deal with the bullies. And you have to remember, as overwhelming as it can be on a day-to-day basis, it does, as Dusty said, it does get better. As I said earlier, I thought I would be dead before I turned 18. I never thought I'd be 35 years old and sitting here. I was voted most likely in my high school class to become rich and famous. I thought I'd be most likely to just be 6 feet under. Fortunately, I'm not. And it's thanks to a few close friends and family members. So we've only got 10 minutes going on here. Does anyone have the time? I left my phone at my booth. 12:20, perfect. That's exactly what I thought it was. We got 10 minutes. Does anyone here want to have any questions or want to talk about their stories? Or Yes?
Well, I was bullied through my entire life, through first grade all the way.
You want to come up here? There you go.
I was bullied throughout my entire life, from first grade all the way through graduating high school. And sense of clarity, I actually tried to commit suicide myself at the age 6th grade. But I had a sense of clarity that I don't need them in my life. They're not in control of me. Screw them. You are in control of your own story, your own life. I was to myself, I didn't trust anyone, no friends. The only friends I had were my mom, my dad, and my brother, and my grandmother. Hopefully you remember this date, May 21st, 2012. Pianos, New York City, Tinker.
Yes.
What was that?
It was the Ashley Ball concert, wasn't it?
Hey Ocean.
Hey Ocean, yeah.
See, I would never consider myself a brony. What did I bring to that concert? Do you remember?
You brought some of your carvings, didn't you?
For Ashley Ball.
Yeah.
I was going to give up something I love doing, wood carving. Because I met you guys all there. I had no friends prior to that concert.
Really?
And I want to thank you and the rest of you, Bronies NYC, because I have friends now.
Come here. That's why I did it, to bring people together. Because everyone deserves a place where they can be comfortable and happy. And thank you, Spike. And I'm glad you didn't give up your carving. Your carving is a big part of this community. It's something unique and beautiful. And by the way, next time I do a show on artists and crafters, I'm totally going to get you on my panel. But for those of you who don't know, Spike here makes those amazing carvings, the wood carvings, where he takes like a piece of wood and he carves.
When it was at the charity auction, the Sonata Taco Tuesday was my carving that I did.
Nice. Everyone loves the Taco Tuesday. Yeah, and you know, this meetup group that I started for ponies to meet up, and it's saved lives somehow because it's given people a place to feel comfortable. And, you know, like I said in interviews in the past, one of the reasons why I created Bronies NYC and then BronyCon and See Bronies, all this stuff I do, is so that people have a place where they can feel comfortable and not be judged. You know, where a 6-foot-tall guy with a beard can show up in a Fluttershy shirt, and instead of getting called a homophobic slur, someone will say, "That's an awesome shirt. Where'd you get that? Is that We Love Fine? And you know, is that from I Draw Ponies, or Draw Ponies?" And everyone needs that place. Everyone needs that place where they can feel accepted, and that's why I still go to all these conventions. It feels like coming home. There was a story that was told when Spike mentioned his moment of clarity that, you know, he doesn't need to focus on what other people are saying. There was a story that was told at the LGBT panel yesterday by my good friend and colleague Chef Sandy, the founder of Nightmare Nights and one half of the pioneering Ponyville podcast, which was the biggest show in the podcast in the early days. And Sandy talked about the time when he attempted suicide, or he was going to attempt suicide, and he was standing on the bridge, and he realized, I don't need to do this. If I do this, it's going to be for them. I don't need to live for the bullies. I can live for myself. And the sad part is that some people never make it to that realization. How many people realize when they have that gun to their head, or when they're standing on that bucket ready to jump off, or when they have those pills, and then they realize they have that moment of clarity. I don't need to do this. I can find another way. I can forge my own path to happiness. But you can't have that realization if you're gone from this world. So for those of you who are struggling, you know, with suicidality and depression, reach out to those who care about you. And if you can't think about anyone who cares about you, reach out to me, reach out to someone else in your community, reach out to someone else in this room, reach out to your family, or reach out to one of those hotlines. They're always there. And, you know, I've known, one of the biggest things people are afraid of is they're afraid of being committed. You know what? I've known some people who are committed. And I'll tell you one thing, it's a lot better to be committed than to be dead. A lot better. And it's not permanent either. They keep you in there until they think you're safe. It's not like it used to be. In the 1950s, it was something more akin to torture. No, not anymore. Not since the advent of modern medication. And that's another thing I wanted to touch on before we leave. A lot of us who suffer from chronic depression don't realize it's a disease. It's not a feeling, it's not a mood, it's not something you can just will yourself out of. Sometimes you need medication. I have had my life saved by Prozac. If I didn't take Prozac, I would constantly want to kill myself. It helps me keep balanced. For me, it's Prozac. For other people, it's Zoloft or whatever. But if you're depressed all the time, That's not normal, no matter what has happened to you. The insidious thing about depression is it makes you rationalize it. It makes you think it makes sense. You invent retroactively explanations for why you feel sad. And if you feel sad sometimes, situational depression, that's normal. My mom just died, I'm depressed. My dog just died, I'm depressed. I lost a job, I'm depressed. That's normal. But if you feel depressed most of the time, that's not normal and it's not healthy. It's not good for you. So see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Some people respond well to therapy. Some people respond well to medication. For most people, it's a mixture of both. Whatever works for you, do it. There's no shame in it. If you have a headache, you take an Advil. If you're depressed all the time, you take a Prozac. It's just a thing. What time is it? Like 10:25 or 11:25? Okay. Any last questions, comments? Anyone want to take a mic? All right then. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, and I just wanted to thank you all for attending. Again, if you are LGBT, check out LGBT Ponies on meetup.com. We're going to have pizza in the atrium today. And if any of you ever wanted to reach me, I am on Twitter at Purple Tinker with no vowels, so it's PRPLTNKR. It's like you take the vowels out. And Dusty is, I believe, Dusty_Cat? I think it's Dusty_Cat. But if you Google Purple Tinker Twitter, you'll find me. And if you Google Dustykatt Twitter, you'll find him. And he's a really good guy, and he's always full of excellent advice. Yeah, Spike Firemain. Is it Spike_Firemain?
Just Spike Fireman.
Spike Firemain. That's this gentleman over here. I've known him for years. Good guy. So thank you again for coming, and I hope to see some of you next year. And again, it gets better. You can make it, no matter how hard it seems, and you do have friends. Thank you very much.